Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We link up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Oh, my goodness. I tell you what, it feels like a Monday, you guys. I just got back from South America late last night, so it's my first day in the office, home office. So it's like the first day of the week, but no, it's really the middle of the week. So we are here. I'm here, there, and everywhere. It's the girlfriends, the force of friendship, Katrina, Sabrina, Gloria, and Chrisette. We're missing Chrisette today on the desk, but we know she's out there doing her thing. She might be listening. And so it's important, you guys, that we tune in 19 a.m. the Superstation every day of the week, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got Glow on the show with a new hairdo. Glow, proud guy, laid to the side, baby, okay?
Now that is funny. That is funny. Look, I've done had enough, okay? I just couldn't get nowhere. So I was like, okay, so what happens if you just brush it to the front versus brush it to the back? We almost put a part in it. Almost. I just said, can you? Now I don't even know if I can keep it tomorrow, because if I can't do it myself, it ain't happening. But I said, brush it to the front a little bit. Let me see if I can change up braids, wigs, all this conversation. And I'm still in the same old slicking back. I was like, okay, let me see what I can do. So this is it. Add some lashes and call it a day.
It looks good. Y'all. It looks good. You wear it well. You wear it well. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Katrina, how are you?
Oh, we're doing good. We're doing good over here. Just grateful. Looking forward to seeing my mama in a little bit. And today is a great day. It really is. It's great weather. Yesterday I complained because it was a Chicago kind of day. It was real dreary, real dark all day long. Today, hot. Back with the flip-flops on, okay? It's not quite that hot, but it is. You know, walking to get your mail in Chicago with no sleeve, no jacket, no with your sleeves out, short sleeves is a good day. And the sun is out all day. It's pristine. It's wonderful. Yeah. I just love Chicago, y'all. I mean, I could live here. If I had lived here my entire life, I would not be able to hit all the restaurants. I just keep making a list of all the restaurants I want to go to. The vibe is just juicy. So it's good. It's good. But my sister is downstairs. We have a wedding coming up in Jamaica, and her hair is short. She just got it colored. It's hot. She's like, girl, I'm about to get it braided for my daughter's wedding in Jamaica. I was like, okay, another person. I was like, who's braiding your hair?
If she finds her, you better let me know.
I hear you.
Yeah. Braids up in here. I guess I do need to get it braided for Jamaica, so maybe that'll be the event. Okay.
I hear you. Hair. It's always a dilemma. Always a dilemma. Right. It is always a dilemma. We got issues. That's why we talk about it all, y'all. The girlfriends, over 30 years of friendship, 100 years collective years in marriage. And so we've got all kind of things coming up with our spouses. We even have Rio, the dog. He's wanting me to rub him right now. You know, he gets excited about the show and he wants all the attention. You see that tag wagging in the back. I'm like, move, Rio, move. But he's a big fan of the show. Every day at 6 o'clock, he comes and parks himself right here in the studio. So anyway, it's all good, y'all. Bring your dog, bring your coworker, bring your spouse, bring your girlfriend, because today we're talking election season. We're talking midterm elections, 13 days. Can you guys believe we're down to 13 days? to one of our biggest midterm elections in a long, long time. And honestly, with no further ado, let's just go and bring my girl, my sister, my real sister. All these are my sisters. This is my blood sister, Regina T. Goodwin, state representative.
Hey, everybody.
Woo! Hey, Regina.
Hey, y'all. Y'all looking great as always.
You look so smart with all those legislative books behind you. Okay. You look smart.
Absolutely. Looking all scholarly, right? Looking all scholarly. Where exactly are you, Regina? Representative Regina T. Goodwin, talk to us.
I am at the oldest Black newspaper in Oklahoma, the Oklahoma Eagle, our family office. And this office just happened to have more light, but it does make me look really smart with all these law books behind me.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
It doesn't make you look smart. You are smart. State Representative Regina T. Goodwin, my baby sister. We're 13 years apart, you guys. She resides in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Regina, tell us a little bit about your seat and what's going on in the state of Oklahoma. And let's move on to the midterm elections. There's a lot to talk about. We know we want to get the voters out. GOTV, get out the vote. This is really what this is all about, my friends. We need you. We need your relatives. We need your co-workers. We need everybody.
That's your husband in the background that I see floating around in the back while we talk about people.
That's my husband. That's my husband.
Okay. Just saying, other than that, you got a strange man. Somebody just broke I like, forget the show.
He always likes to make a debut doing the show. Him and Rio is their favorite time of the day.
Okay.
And they like to find the camera. Yes. And so, Regina, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Very quickly, before y'all go to a break, I'm State Representative Regina Goodwin out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, House District 73. I've been in office since 2015. God has graced me with 7 years, and I've got 2 more that I'll be able to serve. So I did not have an election this season because I didn't draw an opponent. But there's several folks right now literally fighting for our lives, and that's why it's so important to get the vote out. And Oklahoma has its issues, as all these other states. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it. I mean, you know, honestly, being out of the country the last few days, it kind of gave me a break from all that's going on, because you do turn on the news and your head spins. It's like you got to do everything you can right now during this season to keep your head on a swivel and to know what's up from down and left and right, what's real and what ain't real. And so, State Rep, talk to us about all that you know, and how do you make an educated decision, and how do you study the issues? And because we want our voters to be educated and not be bamboozled by the propaganda.
Right.
Wow, that is a great intro. Absolutely. I think if you've lived just a little bit, and I got a few gray hairs in my head, every year we would go through this cycle, right? They tell you, oh, look at the polls. The polls are far, far away. And every time you get closer and closer, they get closer and closer and closer. You all have heard that, right? Has there ever been an election when that wasn't the case, right?
No.
So the thing is, polls aren't always accurate, and it depends on who's doing the polls and who actually were the participants in the poll, right? The other issue is, as you look at these issues that they're telling us to focus on, do not be distracted, as you say, by the propaganda. I think you've heard in the last closing weeks that everybody's supposed to be afraid of the crime. Crime is the big issue. Right. When did that become the big issue? Right? Because crime has always been an issue in America, but why now are we being directed to think about crime? Right? I think we are smart enough to know what we've been dealing with for the last couple of years. So when you say don't have your head on a swivel, stay focused, don't be distracted. Yes, be informed. What do you care about? And find those folks that are going to do that for you. That's what it comes down to. So what keeps you up at night? Not what folks are telling you to think about. So it's not about inflation necessarily, because there's not a Republican or a Democrat that's going to be able to stop corporate greed. So understand these prices that are fluctuating, and they're telling you, oh, we think the Republicans can handle inflation better. We think the Democrats can handle it. No, we have nothing to do with inflation. Let's get that on the table, right? We don't like it. I don't like the high prices, but my vote is not going to be contingent on the fact that we're dealing with an inflation right now. I got enough sense to know that there are corporations that are, quite frankly, increasing our prices. So whether it's oil and gas industry, they are the ones that are increasing your gas prices. They could open up more reserves if they chose. They'd rather increase your prices because guess what? They're making a profit right now. And there's no incentive for them to bring the prices down. Understand that. It has nothing to do with Republican or Democrat. When it comes to your airplane tickets, where you just came from South America, if you're wondering why the airplane tickets are going up, in the 1980s, we had about 12 corporations that controlled the market, 80% of the seats that you have to buy. Now it's down to 4 airlines that control that for us. So if there's no competition and if there's a monopoly, those 4 folks can get together and agree on what the airline ticket prices are going to be. Has nothing to do with Republican and Democrat, right? Your toilet paper. Everybody's talking about I literally saw $25 toilet paper. You've got Procter & Gamble. You've got Kimberly & Clark, 2 corporations that control your paper towels and your toilet paper, right? Ain't got nothing to do with Republican and Democrat. So do not let that be your deciding factor on who you think can handle it best. What you should ask yourself is, who's willing to give you an increase in the minimum wage? Who's willing to open up the market as relates to who's going to be in the executive positions that can make more money, right? Oftentimes that's going to be the Democrats. The Democrats are about small business generally. And quite frankly, in Oklahoma, they were trying to give the corporations a tax cut just this session. So we need all of our big money corporations to pay their fair share of taxes just like we do. So the question becomes, who's going to help you in your household? And who do you think is most fair when it comes to equity, when it comes to who can actually get the vote out, who's suppressing the vote, who cares about bodily autonomy? All of that, whatever might matter to you, those are the questions you have to ask yourself and be clear.
Yeah. When you talked about polling, Katrina, we'll go to you. You talked about polling, and I just talked to my brother in Atlanta, and early voting has been amazing in the state of Georgia. Right now, there have been already 1 million early voters in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
I want to know from you, State Rep, was that good? I mean, and I understand it's 70% higher than in 2018. And so I would think that's a good thing for the Dems, but what are your thoughts?
I would say to you that we won't know until we know. There has been a tremendous effort in Georgia by some mighty powerful Black women in particular that have done all they can to make sure that they get the vote out, that folks are aware. Here's the question. Who actually is doing the absentee ballots? We don't know who's sending in the absentee ballots. Historically, Democrats send in absentee ballots, and historically, Republicans stand in line and vote. But a lot has happened, and when you see that upsurge, we have to ask who's actually submitting the absentee ballots, right? It's been a great effort, but we won't know till we know. And the folks that are on the ground, they know best. They know more than the pundits. They certainly know more than I do, and they have a better sense. But you've got Warnock, and you've also got Stacey Abrams, and you're hearing different things even as it relates to them. Why would that be if they're going after the same base of folks, right? So
well, they
we want
say
to be
that
positive,
Stacey,
but we don't want to be overstate anything.
Okay, well, Stacey Abrams is saying Georgia continue to go vote. Right now, she's 4% behind in the polls, but she says they don't poll us. And go vote. Continue to vote. Continue to vote. Continue to vote. There's that music. There's that music.
Get out and vote.
We gotta pay a few bills. What they say. We gotta pay a few bills. It's good, you guys. We got so much to talk about. I'm glad we're talking about it. We'll be right back with We Got Issues with the Force of Friendship. We're back. We're back. Yes, we are. The force of
Yeah.
friendship with the girlfriends. We're here Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 a.m., the Superstation. And we talk about it all, y'all. Today, we're talking midterm elections in just 13 days. And so we're here with State Representative Regina Goodwin out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, District 73, my baby sister. We're so glad to have you, Regina. We always welcome you. You're in this area of expertise. You're passionate. You're a public servant. You're hardworking. You're researched in all that you do. And so you are our go-to. So, Katrina, I think you wanted to go to Regina with a question or comment.
Yes. Oh my gosh. First of all, I'm so happy that you were on. I mean, I looked up and I realized, oh my gosh, because of a sudden family death, I realized I'm going to be out of state on election day. And so I immediately rushed and said, Mama, grab my ballot, grab that book. And I mean, the second that I get it in my hands, I have to mail it back tomorrow, probably priority express mail something. So I'm sure that it gets there. So again, I'm grateful that I have a mail-in ballot. I just want to say that because it gives me options. I could walk in and hand it in. Right. But in this case where I wasn't expecting to be gone, because I pride myself on walking in and getting my sticker, I'm glad that I have it. I just want to say, I don't know what you're going to do when your tenure is up, but I would listen to you all day long on somebody's MSNBC or whatever, because hearing what you said and the way you broke it down, and sometimes I think CNN, MSNBC, but maybe it's an alternative channel, because the way that you broke it down, I haven't heard many Democrats say directly, we cannot fix inflation. Neither of us can fix inflation. It is a greed problem. And I love the way you said it, and you spoke truth to power. You said it direct. So my first question is, could Democrats win with those talking points? Because that makes so much sense to me, but I'm not hearing other people. I hear Democrats take credit for we can fix it. So could we win with that, with those talking points?
Yeah, I would say this, that oftentimes I hear folks say Democrats just aren't messaging properly. They have to message properly. Democrats, depending on who you're talking to and listening to, they have talked about corporate greed. It has been an issue. I do think that they need to be very pointed, right, in saying these things. But you got to ask yourself, be honest with you, why aren't they talking about it? Because you ask yourself, what stocks do they buy? Did you hear what I just said?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard you.
And so when you talk about corporations, remember, folks are invested and follow the money. And some folks are not going to talk about corporations that they're investing in, right? The other issue is, should, if they say that perhaps the Republicans will get the House and the Democrats will keep the Senate, what does that mean, right? That's why people need to understand, what does this vote really mean? And right now you've been looking at all of these investigations on January the 6th, right? That's coming to a screeching halt if you lose that control. You need to understand the things that we know are wrong. We learned, mom and daddy taught us right from wrong a long time ago. Folks are not caring about right and wrong. They're not caring about up and down. They're caring about winning at any cost. And unfortunately, this is the climate that we're in. So what you have to do when you have to go out and vote, you need to ask yourself, what's in it for me? What do I get out of this vote? And what you'll get out of the vote, quite frankly, is, will those investigations continue on January 6th? Will somebody actually be talking about doing away with Social Security and your Medicare, right? You need to understand those are Republican talking points. And you best believe they've already said, if they get back in office, they're going to be very vindictive, and they're coming after folks with their own investigations. They want to continue as it relates to Hunter Biden, and then they're going to want to look into some other things, right? None of it helps us, right? None of those issues help us. The January 6th issue helps us because it involved the United States and involved an insurrection. But we have to ask ourselves, who's most likely to talk about, hey, can we increase minimum wage? Does that matter to anybody? Then we wouldn't be concerned about that. Some things we would not be as concerned about.
Regina, can I ask you about this? Because I am concerned about the messaging. I just find that, Trump does an excellent job of just hammering lies, but he just hammers. And so it gets, I get very heated when I get in conversations with people, but I don't think that we are as strong as carrying the message collectively.
Okay. And I would say that there could be a few things that I could say today. One, I think we all are concerned about the prices that are high and how much we're paying for gas, right? So we talk about that. I think you're right. Some folks are very deceptive in their messaging. There are a bunch of lies and propaganda that are being spewed. I don't find, and it does work, but it's not right. And again, I think
Correct.
You all know when you hear that it's not true. So how great is the messaging if it's false, right? Now, the other thing
Right, but
is,
I'm talking about the
as I
messaging
said,
that's true.
okay, so the messaging that's true. Yeah, I do think we need to have more conversations, but you all have to ask yourselves, why are you not seeing it on CNN? Why are you not seeing it on Fox?
Right.
What are you getting? All of them are responsible. So you have to ask yourselves, who controls them and the message that they're giving to you?
Right.
So that's not,
right.
I promise you, there are a bunch of folks that can come out and spell it out for you, but you don't see them on these, in these
Right.
Brady Bunch windows, right? So you have to ask yourself, who's controlling whom? Why do we get the messages we get? And I'm just asking you all, do not go down those rabbit holes. I don't care if it's CNN. I don't care if it's MSNBC. I don't care if it's Fox. If they're not hitting your heart and they're not answering the questions the way you want them to be answered, no, there's a bigger game at play. So it's not because they can't. I promise you, they got folks all day long that can come out and spell it out. Okay. What we have to do is educate ourselves as quickly as we can in these last 13 days. And let's talk today about what matters to us. What message do you need to hear, right? Because I think most of us have heard plenty. And I think you know what's at stake. Democracy is at stake. I think bodily autonomy is at stake. I think the corporate greed that is allowed to continue. Trust and believe what the Republicans and Democrats can do about that is there are antitrust laws that they have been eradicating over the years. That's what could happen, right? Those are the conversations we should be having. Okay.
Oh, Regina, okay, but you say those are the conversations, and we educate our small clusters, but the bigness is pushing crime right now. Inflation, abortion, that's all we're hearing. And so how do we get messaging to the masses when we don't have that power?
But we do have the power because you all sit at dinner tables every night. You all talk to your church members, right? You all have conversations with your family. You do have the power. And what I'm saying is you have the power now to say, enough with the noise, enough of what they're feeding you, feed yourself. And you just said crime. We already know crime, as long as I've been living, is a talking point that Republicans use to scare everybody, right? They didn't do anything with crime when they were in charge. They did nothing with crime recently when it comes to the AR-15s and the school shootings and all of that. So they don't really care about crime. They care about scaring you to vote for them or just to stay home, right? So you all know what's real and what's not. We've had crime as long as I've been living.
That's the message.
Yes, crime is an issue.
That's the message,
it's
Regina.
Not the top issue.
That's the message. The message is, when they were in office, they didn't do anything about crime. Crime has been a problem for years. I mean, what you're saying is the message. That's the message. I mean, because it's not new what they're talking about, but they spew it as if it is.
Right. And not only is it not new, but if you look at the top 5 states in America, they're run by Republican governors that have the highest crime rates. Okay. So oftentimes the very thing they're saying is antithetical to even what they're suggesting. So we are smart folks. God gave us a little peace of mind. And I'm just saying we can use it, and we can also continue to say, hey, if we're just now hearing about crime now and they're trying to redirect you and distract you, and you haven't been hearing it for the last 2 years, then maybe it's just propaganda.
Right.
And it is the same playbook as long as I've been living. You can go all the way back to Nixon, right? And they were talking about crime, and you need to be scared. And didn't you remember Willie Horton, the black figure they put on and said, oh, be afraid of Willie Horton, right? It's the same playbook. The reason they keep using it is because it works. And here's the kicker. A lot of folks don't really care what the facts are. They just want to vote Republican or they just want to vote Democrat. So as much as we're talking about facts here, folks don't care. And I think Walker and Warnock is a prime example of folks caring about facts and folks caring about fiction. How in the world could you compare those two men and think that they are even on the same playing field? Literally, Herschel Walker needs to remain on the football field, not on the political field. And, so people really don't care about facts. That's another thing that this show or no other show is going to solve, because right now it's about winning at any cost. So we need to understand the climate that we're in. And what is, I think, hopeful for us is that we still have 13 days to what we're talking about today. Talk about it with your friends, talk about it in your social circles, and let's get folks aware. Is that helpful?
A little bit more.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit more about the state? Can you talk a little bit more about the state issues? The more and more I learn and I study, I just realize how important it is to understand what's happening in your state, the state politics, and in other states, not just at the federal level. So can you talk about that and how to educate yourself really on what's happening at the state?
Okay. Hold that thought. There's the music, you guys. There's a lot to get to. We're with State Representative Regina Goodwin out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, with Sabrina, Katrina, Chrisette, and Gloria, the force of friendship. We got issues, 9 to 10 a.m., the Superstation. We'll be right back.
Right back.
We're back, and we're jumping right in. This is the 4th of Friendship. And in 13 days, we have our midterm elections. And when I tell you, it is something to behold. We got to get out the vote, you guys. This election will decide who takes control of the U.S. Congress. And so it's up for grabs. It is up for grabs. There are 5 or 6 states that are critical to this race, and those states are Georgia, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Ohio, Arizona, and Wisconsin. And so if you're in those states, you matter. We all matter, but in those states, you really do matter.
It really matters.
You guys, let's go to the phone lines. I think we had a couple of callers. I don't know if they're still there. Caller, are you there?
How are you, ladies?
We're good. Good.
Thank you. What's your? I want to say this is Trina. Trina, CLA. Trina, the way y'all heard me saying this stuff is $3. He's claiming himself a blind man this year. And I'm glad that we got people that are explaining the crime, the inflation, all that, all of those are talking points for the Republicans. That's all they are. They're not really the main issues that they should be addressing in our community. So I'm glad that y'all was able to spell it out. And also, I've always stated that the individuals who complain about crime in the community, they don't even live in the community. They live somewhere where no crime is going on in their community. The crime issue is because they raise prices. Whenever they do those raises to employees, everybody knows they raise the prices on the products and the food. And they raise their prices. The people that get the customer, they raise the price on their food. So the inflation is not because of stuff we're doing, it's because some corporate America is doing. Whereas I think that it's all about profit. That's all it's about. But the Republicans try to make us think that they get in there like crime is just going to stop. No, the crime thing has always been a topic point for the Republicans, starting with Nixon and these Atwater. They want to listen to raise what raising do? They're on crime. Right. You know what to do. That's right. Propaganda. They've never been able to stop you. Stop crime. You know what I'm saying? You can do your best to try to mobilize or do what you do with it. But then I like to go to the office, and Magic Wand is going to be raised, and they're going to stop it. So we have to do somewhere like the black network, the standard system, and like the sister said, we should make the message out. And you should have to get a favor. Talking to church members, you should at the barbershop, you should be a mayor's there, you should really get police involved. If we think, like I said this morning in the jail zone, they shouldn't have taken a vote. These people are serious. And if they get there, we won't be separated and go back to state because this law is kept with these slaves. We need to keep that in mind. When they pass a law, we can pass a law. They should be only have to in 2 ways. Just through finances and through legal means. So when they pass that stuff, it's still about that. And you can't sit up and shoot your America and say this is not real. This is why your show today, when I was so impressed by what you're talking about, how you explain it, because a lot of black people don't explain to the average black person, he's not as educated as everybody else, what's really going on. So they don't know it. They want to say, you talking over their head. Just get out the boat. That shit is locked it out. But the other guy, action too. You know, and if you get a chance, I'm just going to put the shot out here. Me and my sister got a show on 88 points out up here. We do a 5 to 6, and Monday morning, and then we got Black Radio Show too. But it shows like joy that motivate us to do the stuff that we do. So please, I love what you're doing. And you look at this, the one show, a lot of brothers who appreciate you but not have learned the things they needed to learn to understand the importance of your vote. So white supremacy is real, and they think about sending out the have a great day, ladies. Continue to do it and fight the power of politics. Thank you.
Regina, did you want to address the call?
First of all, I want to say to the brother, we need all of the voices. So I hope his radio show does well. Continue to get the message out because that's just another avenue for us to get the message out. So you can't have too many radio shows and you can't tell the truth too many times. I did want to say to Chrisette's point, she asked, how does this relate to us locally, right? All politics are local.
Katrina.
I know we've been friends forever. She know who she's
You say
talking
Chrisette. You say Chrisette. Katrina asked the question. It's all good.
Katrina, Chrisette is handling other things right now. Katrina,
listening, laughing.
I think it's very important that we understand locally, even locally, right? All of those seats, even those 5, they affect us locally, right? So what happens is if the House and the Senate are controlled by Republicans, right, they really will look at the safety net of Social Security and Medicare. And that's all we've known all our lives, right? You work for it, your taxes are set aside for it. So you think it's always going to be there. There is real serious talk amongst Republicans of having Congress to vote on that every 5 years and sunsetting your Medicare and your Social Security. Can you imagine that? Do you all see how bizarre and strange that is? How, quite frankly, wicked that would be. That is actually being discussed right now. Should the House and the Senate be taken over by the Republicans? Okay. So that's one thing. So that affects all of us, right? Those 5 states, that's going to affect your Social Security, my Medicare, right? All right. I also know that if, say, we can keep control of the Senate decides on who the judges are. That affects you, Katrina, right? I think you saw a number of cases right now when Donald Trump was in office. He affected 25% of the judge seats.
That's right.
That's why they have no problem taking you to court, because eventually 1 out of 4 chances they're going to fall on one of their friends.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
And so that affects us, Katrina, at the local level. If we have issues and we're like, I'll just get a lawsuit, I'm going to court. They've already jumped ahead of us. They already have the judges sitting in place. So right now, if the Democrats can keep control of the Senate, they can continue to appoint judges and help Biden as he appoints judges.
Right.
Very critical.
Right.
That only happens on the Senate side. That affects all of us when we start our lawsuits locally in our local school board and it doesn't go well. And then we go to the next highest court affects us at the local level. So when they say all politics, I noticed one of the commentators said all politics are local. I think it was Allison, absolutely right. They want to do a federal abortion ban. Whatever your faith is, whatever your thoughts are, I still don't think that is something that politicians, that's between a man, a woman, and God. That's how it should be. Republicans get in office, they're talking about a federal ban on abortion. You think for the various states like Oklahoma that has very, very archaic rules now that have been put into place, that would be all across the nation. That would affect everybody, wherever they live, right? So am I answering that question somewhat, Katrina? You talk about your local school boards. Totally made up. This whole thing about critical race theory never existed in any of your school systems anywhere across the nation. It's propaganda. It's a farce, right? But they know they can scare the moms and pops to come out and feel like they're doing something about America, right? The thing is, look, they're literally affecting how Black history is taught in our schools at the local level in every state. That's local. That's school board level, right? Critical race theory is higher level, as we've already talked about. It deals with the cross section of law and policy and race, and that happens with all these scholarly books behind me. That happens with in academia, higher academia, for those that are studying to be lawyers. That's where you have critical race theory. Kimberly Crenshaw could talk about that all day, right? Those issues, though, that are manufactured, they're creating boogeymen, and they want you to be afraid. And like I say, we ain't got nothing to fear but fear itself.
Can you talk a little bit, Regina, about what you're hearing with the threatening at the polls? You know, as we talk to people at the get out and vote, you know, every day. I mean, we're still 13 days away, and it's getting, you know, they got guns at the drop boxes, and they're doing awful things. So what are you hearing, and what can people do?
So the first thing I want us to know that the scariest thing they did was the gerrymandering that's already taken place in all of these states. They've already gerrymandered. They literally moved 70,000 people out of one district so they can ensure that a Republican might win, that kind of thing. So that's the biggest concern. That's voter suppression right there. Now, when you look at these wicked folks that call themselves looking over where folks are dropping off their absentee ballots, right? what we do is the same things that our ancestors did. Is we have a kind of tenacity that even if you kill me, I'm going to have the right spirit to do right, because they think that they can scare you out of your rights, and they literally will threaten you and try to threaten bodily harm, and folks may do that. We are returning to a very ugly place in America, where quite frankly, racism is magnified now. Terrorism is magnified now. It's the America that we live in. So while we're living in it, like I say, my mama used to say, life is for the living. What we do is we do the right thing. We hold on to our integrity. We go and vote. We drop off our absentee ballots. We make sure that our ballots are going to be counted. And we do what our forebears did. That's what we do. What we don't do is back down. And I'm a woman of faith. The scriptures say we do not shrink back. That's what we don't do.
Right.
Now we're going to another break. I got a hot
There's
question.
the music. And you know what? Drop the mic right there, sister. Drop the mic, baby.
Woo!
We got to go to a station break, you guys. There's a lot to ponder, but we don't have a lot of time. We've got 13 days to be a difference maker. Yes, Regina, before we go to a break?
I was going to say this. When you're going to vote, make sure you call 5 other folks and ask, did you go vote? If they don't even look like they know where the election a ballot box is, ask them, right? And then let's try to get them registered for the next time. But right now, reach out next 13 days. Matter of fact, next 13 days, call 13 folks that you know. Call young folks that you know. Okay?
We got to go. We got to go. We'll be right back to finish it up. We'll be right back. 19 a.m. the Superstation. force of friendship, and we have just a few more minutes left, and we've got a lot to wrap up here. Lori says if people feel threatened, they'll ask for mail-in ballots. Whatever you need to do for your vote to count, get your vote in. Let's see, girlfriends, I know we just have a few more minutes left. We're going to give State Rep the floor, but are there any closing questions or anything on your mind that you'd like to get to before we give Regina the last few words?
Herschel Walker cannot win.
Yes.
Period.
Let's just all get on our
with
knees.
A capital T. And Stacey Abrams has to win. Period. With a capital T. Okay, I said my part.
Can you?
The same. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Say what you were saying about Herschel Walker. Important. I was going to ask you about in the case of Herschel Walker not winning. It's a big deal. A lot of young folks say that they are woke, and there are woke young folks that vote, and there are woke young folks that don't vote. Can you talk about what you found that's effective? Because I have reached out, and sometimes it falls on deaf ears. They just don't understand the power of their vote. Not everybody does, but especially among young people, I found.
Yeah, I think it has historically been oftentimes the younger group of folks are more difficult to get out to vote. This is not a new phenomenon, right? Also, it's not a new phenomenon that typically the party out of power tends to pick up seats during the midterms. So let's not pull our hair out. Let's not give up. All of that. I think that there are some dynamic young folks, though, that will go to vote. And so it is not any more exacerbated than it has been. We have to continue. Right now, we got 13 young folks that we can reach out to. Maybe that's our goal. Reach out to 13 young folks that are registered, right? Whatever it is that you think that you can be effective in, let's do that. A lot of this is not new. And the sad thing about it is that this is the same old playbook. And the reason they keep going to it is because it works, because it's effective, right? And it doesn't mean that folks are, and we're being very rational, right, Katrina? You're being very rational about this. You're dealing with very irrational folks when it comes to how they vote. And I think the Herschel Walker and Pastor Warnock is a prime example. I did want to say that Republicans need to pick up just a total of 5 out of 435 seats, right, to get the majority, and 1 out of 35 seats on the Senate side. So this has always been paper thin. And then I would just say, breathe, pray, and fight. And understand this, when we did have the majority, you still had Democrats that did not do the right thing. So let's put it all in perspective. Even when we had the majority, you had folks that were willing to not do what was best. So money oftentimes influences a lot of folks. Power influences a lot of folks. I'm going to say it again. Let's breathe. Let's pray, and let's fight. I'm a woman of faith. For folks that don't believe in prayer, you put in something else in the middle. But breathe, do something in the middle, and then fight. Do something good.
That's good.
Yeah. When we think about what's in front of us, and I think about November 9th, we will continue to have to breathe, pray, and fight. But it is unsettling what could happen if we lose it. I want to be optimistic, but I just don't know if I trust our system right now. I don't know if I trust. I don't know. I'm going to do all I can.
I'm not asking you to trust. I don't trust our system, right? There has been gerrymandering. You had a Supreme Court that quite frankly said, even though it was proven to be discriminatory, the gerrymandering that happened, they said it was okay. So no, I don't necessarily trust the system. What I am saying is that we've been in this place before in our history. And what we have to do is gather the gusto that we have, the stamina, the faith that we have to keep fighting. We can't give up. We've been in this place before. No, I don't like it, but we can't change it right today. What we can do is not give up. And don't be afraid. If nothing else, don't let folks scare you out of your birthright, right? And our birthright is that we are worthy of living in the best world that we can live in, and we got to fight for that. right?
Yeah. Katrina, don't look so down. Katrina.
No, I'm ready for the fight. I'm ready for the fight.
You saw like your whole
ready.
Constitution, Katrina was like,
Yeah.
It's tiring, but you give us energy. You give us energy. You give us hope, and you know, it's what we have to do.
And guess what? You guys, we're all leaders in our own right. Again, I'm a woman of faith. None of this happens unless God is an all-knowing and all-seeing God. And it says not going to put more on us than we can bear. So that has been our mantra as long as I've been living. And when I'm long gone from here, that's going to continue to be the mantra, right? Life ain't never really been fair. I don't think any of us on this panel can say life has been fair. So what we got to do is fight through it, keep pushing. And the hope there, Katrina, is, again, what our ancestors could not see. The fact that you all are so accomplished, right? That you're living the lives that you're living, even in this unfair world that we live in, even with the gerrymandering, we still make a way out of no way, and God still provides. So we're going to continue to push through. We're going to continue to tell our neighbors what we should be doing and how we should be getting the vote out. And you got to have hope, right? You all would not be having a radio show if you didn't have hope. You wouldn't even be trying to talk to anybody about this topic if you didn't have hope, right?
Right.
Yep.
I thank you all for bringing this to light, you know?
Yeah. Allison, let's read Allison's comment, Dorothy. Allison put a comment up and she said, constituents should hold their elected officials accountable. Email, call, and use social media to call them out. An effective way to make your voices heard. Amen, Regina. God makes a way out of no way, for sure. Back to you, Regina.
And I absolutely believe you need to hold your officials accountable. You need to make your voices known. Take the time to write letters so you have a paper trail of what you've written to those folks. And a lot of times they will tell you, hey, you didn't get me in office. You can't put me in office. But trust and believe your voice does matter. And I think you also, did you all see the snippet of the baseball game where we had Ted Cruz that went to a baseball game and they let their feelings known? Did you all see that? If not,
yeah, I saw that. I did see that.
I saw it.
Your voice does matter because he didn't stay for the baseball game. He thought he was going to have a hot dog, America's favorite pastime. And he got to some real people that feel a certain way. So your voice matters. Continue to speak up. And again, the only way they get in his office is through other people. And unfortunately, a lot of like-minded people that are thinking in a very wicked and wrong way are electing wicked and wrong folks. We're going to have to get through this. This is where we are. Let's get as many angels of light in as we can. And you guys keep leading where you are, right? In your households, in your churches, in your social circles. Be that voice. And don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to have some controversy. There's a way to disagree without, everybody pulling out the shotguns, right? Some people don't get that, but there is a way to continue to have these conversations. And I hopefully educate folks. Because remember, everybody doesn't want to be educated. Everybody doesn't care about facts.
Right.
That's where we are right now. And keep that in mind. My mama always said, you can't reason with crazy folks. They don't want to hear facts. They don't want to hear how do we make America better for everybody. They don't want to hear about equity and diversity, right? Absolutely. That's craziness to me. That's that social craziness, right? Some madness there.
Well, you gave us a challenge. You gave us a challenge to reach out to 13 people each, to all of our listeners. 10 and 3, 13 in these next 13 days. Reach out and touch somebody, get them to the polls. We know that the big dogs are coming out. I see Barack Obama's getting back on that trail.
Right.
He's going to be out there campaigning. We need to call on our leaders, our former leaders, our present leaders to make a difference. We need all the voices for sure. What were you going to say, Regina? It looks like you want to say something.
And Rio might have a voice also in this.
Yeah, Rio is ready. He's like, get to the polls, y'all. Let's get to the polls, y'all. Absolutely.
Regina, thank you so much, because your knowledge in this is just priceless for us, because we know who you are. We know who you are. So having you here and giving us your knowledge the way that you did is priceless. Really, really earth-changing.
And let me say this. I know I said something about Fox and MSNBC and CNN. They give us great information oftentimes. And so continue to watch who you watch, but also understand we're sharp folks and cut through all of the noise. Don't be distracted. Stay focused. And you guys are priceless and are inspire me always.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Regina, we know that you're doing a good job. Keep fighting the good fight. You are definitely your ancestors' wildest dreams. I mean, honestly, to see you fight in the state of Oklahoma when it's not easy, you know, one of the reddest states in the country, and you continue to be hopeful. You continue. I often wonder how you show up for work every day, and you do with persistence, consistency. So we thank you for being who you be.
Because we win by showing up. Number one, we win by showing up, right? You got to show up to go.
By showing up.
Yes, we win by showing up. Well, usually the music is playing by now and there's no music. And so we don't know where our producer is, but usually the music is playing. Girlfriends, you have a last word before we go.
Hey, what I'm saying to you as we bow out gracefully, keep the fight. What do we say? Breathe, pray,
fight.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. We got it. Yeah. Breathe, because anytime I'm about to throw a shoe at that TV, I'm gonna breathe, pray, and fight. Okay? Because it's a whole bunch of breathing, a whole bunch of praying, and a whole bunch of fighting right about now. We will do it, you guys. We'll see you. Thanks, Regina, for being on. State Representative.
Thank you so much, Regina.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
13 people.
13.